cafe anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Welcome to FF episode 2228. I am your host, Mike Matthews. Why is that great?
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Because there ain't another Mike Matthews around. Oh, actually, there is. There's a guy. He's like a fitness buff, and he's really muscular, I think. I don't know. Is he still alive? Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Sarah Michelle Gellar, is going to be doing a new show. You know, she's in her mid-40s now or so. So, there you go. Yes, my name's Mike, and that's
Mike's Daily Podcast.
a very common name. Mike Matthews made his feature dictatorial debut
Mike's
with the acclaimed
Daily
Five Fingers for
Podcast.
Marseille,
Yeah!
a contemporary western set in rural Africa. No way! That's not me. That's not my name. The Ting Tings, remember them? That's not my name. That's not my name. Oh, that's a great band. I never knew about this, Michael Matthews. Such a common name. Have you ever Googled your name? And if you, for me, with the most normal, everybody's got this name that nobody, you can't stand out. Basically, you'd have to buy all kinds of Google ads in order to stand out. Oot, if you're Canadian. And the Shredded Chef. 120 recipes for building muscle. That's the one I was thinking of, that guy. So he's still putting out books and such. No, he's not. I guess that last book came out almost 10 years ago. So who knows what he is up to these days. That Michael. Hey, look. About 2 years ago, 3 years ago, he put out an ultimate guide for bodybuilding, how to get ripped. Yeah, looks like I know how you got ripped. It's very simple. Steroids. And lots of that powder that you buy in those health stores.
And here's today's podcast picture.
That protein powder. There you go. So I'm not that Mike, obviously. Not shredded. In fact, the last show I kind of mentioned how I'm not at all healthy in that sort of way. I mean, I'm working on it. I'm trying to, for example, I went to the Costco the other day and did not buy any meat, except for the rotisserie chicken. And I bought a hot dog. Except for that, I didn't buy any meat. I mean, they got this huge meat section. Basil. He used to love it when I'd get Costco chicken, the rotisserie chicken. Oh my gosh. The bachelor's chicken, we used to call it. Remember that? Basil used to love it. He'd go nuts. And like you'd throw him, a bite or two of the chicken. Never the bones. Don't give chicken bones to dogs. It messes them or their insides up. But yeah, he just inhaled it. He'd do this total Pac-Man thing where his jaw couldn't move fast enough to eat it. And then after, like, the chicken was gone, I'd let him lick the container that held the bachelor chicken, and he would lick every little crevice till it was clean, till it looked like it had just been molded and spat out of the plastic mold maker that makes these plastic containers for Costco. He really licked it clean. Podcast picture is what I was trying to say there before I had a mini seizure or stroke or something. Human body, man. Never question. Anything crazy can happen at any second. Not to make you all scared or whatever. It's an odd ride, your human body. So treat it well. Treat it nice. Maybe don't eat the skin off of that bachelor chicken. And I've had a doctor or two tell me, don't get Costco chicken. Don't get the bachelor chicken. It's not that good for you. Unless you're sticking to just eating the white meat, the breast. Just stick to that. Take the skin off, and then you're going to be healthy, Mike, and you won't have many strokes. But the podcast picture is from a fort. I think it's Fort Pulaski is the name of it. It is over there near Savannah. And it was this... I should probably tell you a little bit about it. Well, you don't care. You're like, Mike, no history lesson, please. But it is a cool picture because you're actually seeing in the picture the places where... Let's see. So this was a Confederate-held fort. And you can see where the Union Army came down and actually took chunks out of the wall using cannons. And as I recall from going to the museum, they didn't have cannonballs that they shot, the Union side. They had a type of missile that was shaped kind of like a corkscrew or like a screw, and it would shoot through the air and hit the wall and just take out chunks. So, yes, it's interesting to go check out this fort just to see that. But you can see a picture at mikesdailypodcast.com of the fort. Fort Pulaski, I think is what it was. What's that really nice area? Pulaski, that's it, Savannah. It's near Tybee Island, that's it, Tybee Island. It's basically sort of in between Savannah and Tybee Island. Near Wilmington Island. Very interesting to check out. All right. You might be asking yourself, Mike, you're so knowledgeable. Where'd you get all your knowledge? And I would tell you, from books. And then I'd be lying because I don't really read anymore that much. Except for stuff that's online. I don't pick up books, which I should, which everyone should. The written word is very important. Even if it's written badly, it's important that your brain consumes this stuff so you can know the difference between good written stuff and badly written stuff and just go, hey, it's food for the soul. This lady is very much a proponent of that. Melanie Moore. As we go outside a cafe anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valley. The last place on earth. Melanie Moore had always dreamed of owning a bookstore, but realized I wanted something more fun and more flexible. One morning, I looked out and saw my husband's 1962 VW transporter truck parked in the driveway and said, that's it! The book bus was born. Another thing, too, if you're well-read, if you read a lot, you would know that the plural of fish is never fishes. Like I spelt with the last podcast was called fishes, which you could technically fishes is a word. It's a verb. And there's some kind of way when you're talking scientifically about fish, you can say fishes. I explained it in my mini video that you can see at mikesdailypodcast.com. Also at the YouTube channel, youtube.com/mikesdailypodcast. Oh, speaking of which, if you go to YouTube ever, let's say you once in a while go to YouTube, please check out the concert that Tears for Fears did about 6 years ago. It was in honor of the 30-year anniversary of Songs from the Big Chair. Yes, they came out with this album. It was their second album as Tears for Fears. They were once a band called The Graduate. I did not know that. But the two guys, Kurt Smith and Roland Orzabal, they did The Hurting, which you remember that had the song All Around Me. I see faces, other faces, and Mad World, right? And also on there is a great song, Change. You Can Change. And How Can... No. 'Cause you don't give me love, you give me pale shelter. You don't give me love, you give me cold hands. And I will not parade on this failure when all I wanna be is completely in command. So then they came out with Songs from the Big Chair and Shout, and everybody wants to roll the world, biggest song they ever had. Except for Sowing the Seeds of Love was a pretty good song. That was the next album. You basically can own every Tears for Fears album. It's very easy because I think there's like 4. There's 6 if you consider Roland Orzabal when he split off on his own and told Kurt Smith goodbye, and Kurt Smith told Roland to take a hike. Roland kept Tears for Fears, the name, going, and did 2 albums that sort of sound like Tears for Fears. One of them was Elemental, that had Break It Down Again. Dun, 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 dun. It's like the way you're always hiding from the light. Just so else you have been sitting on a time bomb. It runs like Moses on a motorbike. And all the love in the world. Keep things from breaking down. I am quoting that song inaccurately. But the other... So then they did one more album together, and then I've lost count of what other stuff they're doing. But, Raul and the Kings of Spain, which I did not know Roland Orzabal had family in Spain. So he kind of wrote about it on the album that he was also still estranged from Kurt Smith on. But watch the video. So they got back together, Kurt and Roland. They made nice, and they did a special anniversary concert for Spotify that's on YouTube. It sounds fantastic. They sound amazing. They do Everybody Wants to Rule the World, Shout, Sowing the Seeds of Love. And then they do one that my jaw, and Head Over Heels. And they did the song The Working Hour, which I love that song. And I knew all my friends in college when I was going to UCSB. We loved that song. And I remember I had it on cassette because I taped it off of somebody. But I taped it off of someone's CD, so it was really good cassette quality. But I got the best cassette I could. The TDK, had the super nice, high quality tape cassette. Made sure I, cleaned the heads with a little bit of alcohol and a Q-tip. Cleaned those heads off really good, and then recorded the song The Working Hour, and I loved it. It has this awesome saxophone in the beginning, this wacky drum machine that you kind of hear in Shout, and then a little bit of Mother's Talk has that kind of drum machine too. And the way Roland just belts it out is just fantastic. So Kurt Smith goes, we're going to do this song because for the hardcore Tears for Fears fans, they love it when they do this song. So we'll do it for you right now. And they did it, and it was great. So check that out on YouTube whilst you're checking out my short clips or the podcast. You can listen to the podcast at mikesdailypodcast.com or at youtube.com/mikesdailypodcast. So Melanie Moore and her husband Tony replaced the engine, repainted the VW, its original teal green, had a friend design and build custom wooden crates to display and cart books, and added a canopy that they had shipped from England to cover and protect the special cargo. Now, Melanie Moore uses 100% of her profits to buy children's books for schools in low-income areas to help build classroom libraries, giving students the opportunity to experience the joy of reading for themselves. By the Book Bus's 2-year anniversary, this was actually in November of last year, Moore had donated over $30,000 worth of books to local schools and organizations in Ohio. Ohio. Hey. Speaking of which, thank you, Lifetime Achievement Awards, for being a nice way of saying we think you're about to die. Thank you, 2:30 in the morning, for always being the first sign that tomorrow's going to suck. By the way, that article I read was from the Costco Connection. And I guess that was probably the November issue. Thank you, Coarse Wool Sweaters, for having a relationship with my nipples that could best be described as problematic. Thank you, Gummy Worms, for being excellent bait if I want to catch a Swedish fish. What? And finally, speaking of the Swedes, and my Uncle Jupp, he was German. He's the guy at the very beginning who says, I'll sing you another song. And he liked to, well, here, let me, thank you, socks with sandals. There you go. That's what he liked to wear. For being a look that proudly declares to the world, the people I'm friends with now are the only people I ever want to be friends with. So, that, yes, another Jimmy Fallon with the writers of Late Night. Thank you notes. Jimmy Fallon no longer does Late Night, sadly, but he is on The Tonight Show. And Late Night has gone to Seth. And Seth does a fantastic job, and I always watch his Closer Look segment. And sometimes, once in a while, I catch him. You know, I know he leans very left with that, but sometimes I go, oh my gosh, he hit the nail on the head. Hey, you can tell me what you think about nails and books and snails and Tears for Fears and everybody else. By the way, Tears for Fears, the name, if you didn't know, they got the name from a author. Speaking of books, I can't think of his name at the moment. He was a psychologist who said that children should be allowed to cry, and that way they won't be scared of the dark and scared of being alone in their room and in the monsters. I don't know why the monsters come out at night, but the tears, if they're allowed to cry, that will get rid of their fears. So it is Tears for Fears there. He was also involved with scream therapy, this psychologist I can't think of the name of, and that is not related, however, to the song Shout. But yes, Roland Orzabal does have the word shout in that song, obviously, and in the Sowing the Seeds of Love song, he does say, open hearts, scream about it, or is it open my hands? Scream about it. And then he actually screams. He can still hit those high notes. He's still got a great voice. Hey, speaking of great voices, we're outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley. The last place on earth. Look who's here. Hi, Mike. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. How's y'all doing?
And to disgruntled fiddle player tell you what.
What?
I think that wearing masks is an insult to the society in which we live, and they're terrible. And the fact that I cannot see your face or see you smile, that is a form of censorship that I don't agree with. Tell you what.
What?
That rant about masks.
Okay, thank you. I love the fact that so many people think, we are doing great in some ways in America with our being able to, we're all getting vaccinated and cases are going down, but you don't have to look very far. Canada, Germany, you're seeing lockdowns happen and numbers going back up. So we got to be careful. It's like a plane landing, everybody. It's like a plane landing. We're trying to land this plane safely. And just because, we see the runway isn't the time to turn off the plane and jump out. We should land it. We got to land this puppy first. Let's land it and be smart about it and still wear masks. If you haven't gotten used to it in 12 months, then I don't know. You've got some psychological issue. We all should have gotten used to masks by this point. We're not a bunch of people trying to rob banks or trying to hide our smiles from each other. Why the heck is that an issue? I mean, some of us have awful teeth we don't want to show the world. Some of us have awful smiles. When I talk, I have a bit of a slur, and part of my face looks like I do the Drew Barrymore thing where I talk out of part of my face, and I just have to overcompensate by talking out of the other half, and then maybe I'll be talking out the middle. Am I making any sense? Probably not. But we all have interesting faces and mouths and smiles and everything else, and we can hide it to be on the safe side, that we're not catching anything. I mean, it has got to have been bringing down the rates of overall sickness in our society. I don't think I had a cold at all since before the pandemic started and before I started wearing masks. I have not had, except for a little bit of an allergy thing, but I don't know. Look who else is here.
Hello, Mike. I make the least root beer. How's the right now? I'm the brewmaster.
Thank you. Oh, I could use a little drink. Yes. And I took my mask off to do that. And yes, we here at Cafe Anyway also wear masks. As you can tell by the way I sound so clearly. Here's another reason why masks are great. Yes. No, if I really was wearing a mask, I'd be sounding a little more muffled like this. But here's the thing. Is because you're being muffled by the mask, it demands that you enunciate and do better in speaking and speak up. You can't be a mumbler when you're wearing a mask. No one can hear you. No one can understand you. You can't do a Twilight Kristen Stewart mumblecore and be wearing a mask. No one will understand you. You've got to go over and beyond. You got to push it when you're talking. Push it. Great Tears for Fears song. No, sorry, that's Salt and Pepper. Peppa. Yes, you have to push it. You have to go beyond. You have to overspeak in order for people to hear you. And maybe that's a good thing, because the mumblers were getting a little out of hand. There was a lot of mumblers, and that was getting annoying, the mumblecore stuff, the Twilight movies, and then we have the upspeak. I don't think masks help any of that thing. I don't think masks do that, where people end on an up note when they talk like that, and they can't stop like that, or the vocal fry. Maybe masks do fight vocal fry. Possibly. Maybe a little bit.
Mike, stop doing that. I'll cut you.
All right. Yes. You can chime in about what you think about any of this. You can call me 336MM Daily. That's 3 + 3 = 6. MM is a Mike Matthews Daily, as in what this podcast will try and be.
Call now. 336MM Daily.
Yes, thank you. Next show, it'll be the wonderful Madame Rutabaga Valentino and Bison Bentley. Have a great Good Friday and a wonderful Easter weekend, and be safe.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!